Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to this. I thank you so much. But before we just do like a little thank you footnote and we keep on going, let me sit with this thought for a second. I appreciate you, each and every single one of you. You know I love podcasting. You know I love making YouTube videos and TikToks, but knowing that there's at least one other person somewhere in the world, whether here, whether in Germany, whether in Ireland, Scotland, Sweden, America, you are listening to the Daniel Teaches Experience, and I appreciate you for it. We've done some amazing numbers this year. I am so excited for the growth. And I cannot thank you enough for your support, for every like, for every comment, for every view, for every stream on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. Everything is really appreciated. Thank you so much, and I wish you the happiest of holidays. It is so cool to be able to look back at everything that we've done and how far we've come and how many episodes I've made, how many guests I've had on, whether they've been from America, whether they've been from Australia. And this has been a beautiful podcast where we've been able to bring people together and share some knowledge, whether to educate or sometimes just to entertain. Now, here's a very interesting note I want to make for everybody. Throughout this year, I tried to release one episode once a week, right? Once a week, about a year. Now, the most popular episode of this year, which skyrocketed, was the one that came out a few weeks ago. I believe this is back in November, and it was about men's mental health. No other episode that I did on looking at just the podcast views and streams did as well as that one. Men's mental health. And now, you know what this topic is about because you read the title. When I made that podcast and when I made that episode, that video, I'm sure you could hear the passion in my voice. You could hear the emotional attachment to it and how much that meant to me. And when I saw how many views and streams and how many people were interested, I could tell that I was interesting for you as well. So now that we're looking at men's issues and obstacles that men face, let's talk about one of the biggest issues that men face right now, and that is in dating. Gentlemen, there's a lot of mistakes that we do. There's a lot of mistakes that we do. Some we're aware of, some we're not aware of. But the goal of this podcast, the objective here, is to make us a little bit more self-aware about how we come off to other people that we are interested in. Mind you, for the sake of this podcast, it's going to be a heteronormative narrative because I am a heterosexual, so I feel like I can better relate to that side. But that doesn't mean that this is exclusively for this. Whether you're homosexual, gender fluid, this, that, pansexual, doesn't matter. You can apply bits and pieces here and there, so use your own judgment. One of the biggest things that I see guys do, which is a terrible look for us, is putting her on a pedestal. I see this far too often. I don't care if it's a bar, I don't care if it's a library on campus, I don't care if it's at a bus stop. What happens is when you put someone on a pedestal, like, think about what that means. Think about what those words mean. You put someone literally above you, and you look up at them, and they look great. The problem is, now you force them to look down on you. Listen to what I'm saying. When you put someone on a pedestal, you force them to look down on you. Because you're making it clear, you're going, look, you're out of my league. Whether physically, whether personality-wise, I'm reaching up for you. So for me to be with you would be incredible, but what is it on your side? Now we know that generally speaking, not always, but on average, women like guys that are a little older than them, a little taller than them, make a little bit more money than them, are stronger than them, right? So these are, again, this is a very broad blanket that I'm throwing over, but if you Google it, generally speaking, I want you to think of all the relationships that you know of where the girl is dating a guy who, the guy is shorter than her, or not as strong as her, or younger than her. It does happen. It absolutely happens. But I would like to think that you're going to more frequently find the other way as opposed to the way that I just presented to you. So if you're a man, the first thing that you got to understand, any person, and this is my own personal opinion, any woman that you interact with, I don't care if she's a supermodel, I don't care if she's your classmate, we are all on the same level. Forget I don't care if she's a model, I don't care if her physical features, man, we are all human beings. And we should be treated as such. Many years ago, I was doing a job interview for my very first job, and they asked me, something along the lines of like, do you think you're better than your coworkers? Right? And I remember like the trick question was like, if you say yes, well, now you sound arrogant. If you say no, it's like, well, why are we hiring you? Right? And I was able to kind of lower your talk and play around and go like, look, I don't know what you mean by better. Right? Do I have certain skills that maybe my other coworker doesn't have? Absolutely. But the reverse is true too. They have skills that I don't have. But I said, I don't like the word better because it makes it sound like I look down on people. And I told them, I looked my then, future supervisors in the face and I said, look, I don't care if you're the supervisors. I don't care if you're my coworkers. I don't care if you're the maintenance guy. I'm not better than anybody. Right? If we mean general, just like I'm a better human being, like I'm better because I have more money, because of the clothes I wear, because I'm a lifeguard and you clean. It doesn't matter. We're all human beings. And we all deserve respect and we all deserve kindness. The same way I treat you, my employer, with that same kindness and respect and courteousness, you bet your ass I'm going to treat the janitor, the maintenance guy. So the reason I bring that up is when you put everybody on a level playing field, it takes someone out of that mindset of I'm on a pedestal. Right? Because the problem with a girl is, you know how I said, they like to be with guys that are usually a little older, a little taller. Man, it feels good when you feel like you're with someone who is amazing. Okay? Girls, sometimes I feel like they get unfairly criticized. They go, man, girls are never satisfied. Girls are never settled. Girls always want better. And the problem with that is, if you've made it clear, if you're texting her all the time, hey, what do you want to do? Hey, where do you want to go? Are you free? Are you free? Can I take you out? Can I take you out? Okay. If you're what the young people would call a simp, you're giving away way too much time, energy, you're coming off desperate. Look, there's being kind, and then there's you're the center of my life, and I will do anything and everything I can for you, but to a point where I will sacrifice my boundaries and my morals. If you tell me to jump off a bridge, I'll jump. I'm juggling 8 plates. If you want me to juggle a 9th one, I'll do it for you. When really what she'd want you to do is to be a little bit like that, a couple of hints of that, but then a lot of being bold, standing up for yourself, saying, no, I got 8 plates. I'm not going to take that 9th plate. Hey, do you want to hang out? I'm free on Saturday. If it works for you, great. If not, whatever. We'll do it in the future. Right? So you kind of play this game where you go, look, you're not on a pedestal. You're not better than me. I am not looking up at you, but I'm not looking down at you either. I'm looking at you in the eye. We're in the same eye level. And I want to be with you, and I want to make this work, and I want to take you out for a coffee. But the moment we play this game of, man, look at how good looking she is, man, she probably has got 50 people texting her. Then you start comparing yourself to all the other people. Oh, well, that guy's taller than me. That guy makes more money than me. That guy is better. Great. Man, it's just a mess. Because what you start doing is you build this hierarchy of prospects, right? And it's kind of like getting a job. It's kind of like are you comparing getting a girlfriend to getting a job? Yes, precisely. That's precisely what I'm doing. Because it's something that you want. Not in like a possession way, but just in a sense of like, you feel like there's so much competition, and if you're a guy with low self-worth, you feel like you're not good enough. So what do? You don't apply for the job, right? You don't shoot for the basket. You don't shoot for the takedown because you go, oh, it's not gonna happen. He's gonna defend my takedown. How do you know? How do you know, man? Give it a try. That's the only way that you'll figure it out, right? So what happens is if you have low self-worth and you put her on a pedestal, what you do is you distance yourself from ever being in a relationship with her, right? So what do? You try to bridge the gap. You're trying to jump up and reach that pedestal. You're trying to meet her on her level. So you do things like texting her all the time, trying to pick her up, paying for, doing all these crazy things to try to make it up to her and see like, look, like I deserve to be with you. The problem is you got to take a step back and go, look, you put her on that pedestal to begin with. Right? And now you're looking up to her and you're saying, well, if I can be with her, I get this, this, and this. But the psychology of the relationship is not a mutual one. You've just set yourself up in a game. Well, like, it's the same thing that people do when they want something from you, right? Like, man, the amount of DMs I get on Instagram saying, hey, can you do a favor for me? Hey, man, can you give me a shout out so I can get more followers? Like, we have to start putting people on a level playing field. If you go up to your crush and go, hey, I'm really lonely and desperate and I feel like a loser, can you go out with me because I find you really attractive? There's a power imbalance there, right? I understand I'm exaggerating, but I really want people to understand this. As opposed to, look, I'm a student, I'm busy, you're a student, you're probably busy. I'd love to take you out. Yes or no? There's no gun to your head. I'm not on my knees. And then you change the perspective, like, look, dude, it's not about can I get her to like me? It's about, are we compatible? Do I even like her? Like, the guys are very visual, right? So you see someone, they look physically attractive, and you go, boom, that's it, that's the one, right? So it's important. So I know I spent a lot of time talking about this pedestal thing, but it really goes back to self-worth. It goes, you don't put someone above you. Anybody. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's like Miss America. If you can get to a point, and this is pretty good advice, though it's easier said than done. If you can treat your crush or the girl that you're attracted to like any other classmate, you're good. The reason for that is this. Usually when you're attracted to someone, you treat them differently. You act differently. It's a little more awkward. You maybe say things that you wouldn't normally say. Maybe you stumble on your words more. But if you look at that girl who you're attracted to and you say, you're just an acquaintance. You're just like any other classmate. I'm not going to push. The good thing about that is it pushes off signs of desperation. It pushes off ideas of awkwardness. It pushes off things like overthinking. So I really think what a lot of guys need to do, or they can do whatever they like, but if you're someone who you feel like you're giving a person too much of your time, don't. Attention is valuable. I saw something on TikTok, and this girl was being berated in the comments by a bunch of guys. She said, the TikTok was something like, doesn't it suck when the guy who's been giving you attention for like a full year and you've been ignoring him, all of a sudden he stops giving you that attention and now you want his attention back. Like the moment the guy stopped chasing me, like this is what the girl was saying. I'm paraphrasing. The moment the guy stopped giving me his attention after I've been ignoring him for 6 months, now I kind of wish he was giving me his attention again. Now the comments were eating this girl up. They're going, what's wrong with you? Why are girls like this? Why didn't you say yes to him when he was interested in you, right? Why are you only interested in him when he's walked away? Why would you play games like this? And in my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that young girl was feeling. Check it out. A few years ago, there was this girl who would always make conversation with me when I walked into class. And I think she liked me. I don't know, maybe. And I remember maybe I got the feeling that she wanted to meet up after class, but I wasn't interested at all. But I did enjoy the conversations, And I remember one day, a few months later, she just didn't talk to me anymore. She just looked away, or she just kind of like a effortless wave and walked past me. And I remember going like, oh man, like I really enjoyed our conversations, So it's not like, look, there's a difference between playing someone on, flirting with them, and then not going anywhere, versus you enjoy someone, and this happens to girls too, right? Sometimes you just enjoy conversing with a guy, right? And then he asks you out, you say no. And the next day, well, now he's not talking to you like that anymore. And you're going, man, I kind of liked it when we were talking every day. It doesn't make you a bad person. We like attention. Who doesn't like attention, man? It makes you feel good. You enjoyed having the conversations. There's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is that when we give someone too much attention, they take it for granted. So if you're a guy, I want you to really reflect, man, how much attention am I giving people? How many texts are you sending someone back to back to back? How available are you? When someone calls in for a favor, when that girl that you really, really like calls in for a favor, man, practice saying no. I mean, don't lie. If she's like, hey, are you free on Saturday? Don't lie. Like, no, I'm not free. But if you're in a position where you're not free, where you can't compromise, don't go around it. Say, hey, I appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not available this week. Someone said, what's a goofy quote I heard? It was like, look, I'm never a fan of playing games. And I don't want you to listen to this episode going, oh, it's a chess match. I got to show her that I don't care. Then she's going to show me that I hear some goofy things online, folks. Whoever cares less wins. Look, that's not what this is. What I'm saying is, if you have self-respect, if you have boundaries, if you have confidence, you will meet halfway. I don't believe in chasing someone down, man or girl. I believe you stay true to yourself. You do not compromise unless you think it's appropriate. And you say, look, you go up to someone in a bar, in a class, in a library. You go, hey, how about you let me take you out for coffee sometime? Right? Nothing more, nothing less. If she says yes, great, awesome. If she says no, great, I have my answer. Now I won't sit there thinking, man, did she say yes? Would she say no? But what if she has a boyfriend? What if she's got 10 people in her deal? It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant, and that's the hardest part. It's you like someone so much, and oftentimes for guys, again, we're such visual creatures. You see someone visually, and you're like, whoa, that person's stunning. And you want to give them all your time, and you want to hold her books, and you want to drive her around and pay for things and do all these things in order to win her over. But the problem is, like I said, when you put someone up there, you force them to look down on you. And now, if she wanted to be in a relationship with you, she's going like, look, he's reaching up, but what do I have to look forward to? So it's just a different perspective. Does that make sense? So for a lot of guys, when we look, I don't understand. I give her attention. I text her. I text her back frequently. I drive her around. I buy her clothes. But from her perspective, she looks at it like, wow, like, look, this guy is doing all these things, and he's made it clear that there's an imbalance here, that I am too good for him. And every time we talk and I sense his desperation, he emphasizes that I am too good for him. So he's getting a lot of this relationship if we're dating, but what am I getting out of it? Am I really too good for him? And she starts believing that narrative. So what do most guys do when they hear this sort of advice? They go, oh, so I got to treat her like trash. All right, I'm not going to text her. I'm going to cheat on her. I'm going to do this and this. Girls don't like nice guys. And I think there's this weird cycle of, why do guys, I was talking to my buddy about this, my buddy Nathan. We're like, yo, man, why do guys hit the gym after a breakup? Why does that happen? Huh? Have you noticed that? No dude's ever like, all right, she broke my heart. I'm going to go become a master of chess. Like never. You never hear a dude just get really good at it. No, man, it's always a breakup. It's always a breakup. That's when why? Why does that happen? You're trying to get big. You're trying to forget those emotions. Then you look in the mirror, yeah, man, her loss. She should feel bad about herself. Why did I bring up that example? Why? What relevance did that have for anything? See, this is what happens when you do like an improv talk. There's no script. You kind of just go off. Sometimes you say random schmucks. But going back to what I was saying earlier, it's very important how you interact with someone. And it's very open how indirectly you make them feel. And there's a disconnect where people say, okay, I guess she doesn't want a nice guy. She doesn't want a guy to drive her around. She doesn't want a guy to text her all the time. Which, guess what? It's sort of right. But not being desperate doesn't equate to being a piece of garbage, right? Doesn't equate to slamming doors in people's faces. Like I always thought it was so goofy when people said, man, girls like a bad guy. Like I just thought that was the stupidest thing ever. Because when I think of a bad guy, I think of some dude who kicks puppies in the face. I just think of some dude who mugs old ladies. I think of some dude who vandalizes a church, right? So I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But if you're talking about an individual, and I promise you it's this, if you've got boundaries, if you can be bold about your intention, if you can not so easily compromise for someone, right? Sometimes think to yourself, if there's a girl and she's very attractive and she's asking you for something, imagine that it was a guy who was asking you for the same thing. If you find that there's a difference in your answer between, they're both your classmates, or they're both your coworkers, but when the guy's asking it, you said no because, she is cute, and look at her. She's a girl, and sure, I can help tutor her for an extra 3 hours, even though I got to go to. That's how you can catch yourself. You're going, what am I doing there? Because if you remember earlier, I said you treat everyone the same. Everyone's human. Everyone's your classmate. Everyone's your coworker. Everyone's your acquaintance. At that beginning stage. And then afterwards, if things escalate, then great. But at that very beginning stage, man, everyone's the same. The moment you start thinking, man, she's attractive. Oh my God, wow. She probably has a lot of admirers. Man, in your head, you're building her up. And the problem is we build up other people who we find attractive or interested a lot more than we build ourselves up. And it becomes problematic because when we interact with the person, we indirectly give off vibes that, hey, you're like a really amazing person. And I'm going to do everything I can to try to get your time. But we do it, a lot of men do it so much that it makes them come off desperate. It makes them come off like they've got no right being with that girl. And this narrative that they construct in their own heads comes to fruition. And that girl becomes too good for you. Why? Because you told her that she is too good for you. Indirectly, non-verbally, your actions said, you are so incredible, I'm going to drop everything and be with you. Whereas the other guy who maybe she's talking to, he doesn't text her back like all the time. Not on purpose, it's just he's got other things going on. If he's doing homework and he thinks he's going to get a text from her, he's not sticking on to it, he's putting his phone away and he does his homework. 2-3 hours later, then he goes and checks his phone. That's the difference. That's the difference. The first guy, he'll agree with her on everything. You know, oh, I really like the movie Notebook. Yeah, me too. I think martial arts is so violent. Yeah, me too. The second guy, he's honest. He's like, yeah, I mean, I don't think the Notebook was a bad movie, but I didn't like it particularly. And she's like, oh, I think martial arts is violent. No, I'm a fan, actually. I'm a huge fan, and I think there's a lot of benefits to it. What are you doing, man? You're sticking your ground. You're standing up. You're being assertive. And ask any woman in your life. Don't hear from me. Ask any woman in your life. What do they think of when they think about someone who's bold, someone who doesn't mind being disagreeable, and someone who's assertive? And he says, look, this is what I think. I'm not just going to agree with everything that you say. Just don't be just this passenger in the car the whole time, right? I believe that in phases of relationships, you're the driver and you're the passenger. Sometimes you're steering. Sometimes you're sitting and looking out the window. Don't be afraid to steer. So how do we do this, right? How can we correct this mistakes? Man, a lot of these videos are going to have the same theme. It goes back within you, man. It's your self-worth. The reason why you put her on a pedestal, the reason why you give her all your time is because you don't view yourselves as equals. You don't view them as another human being. You view, oh my, she's this beautiful girl who's this and that, man. You got to value yourself. And the thing is, if you look in the mirror and you go, dude, I'm not proud of who I am. I don't like who I am, but I'm not as great as her. I've got nothing to show for it. Okay, let's say that's true. Can that be changed? Can that be improved? I made a video a long time ago. I said different ways you can become attractive. I don't know how many of you heard or saw that one. I said you can start working out. It's great for acne. It's great for getting built. You can start drinking water. Again, great for acne. Sleep. Great for your skin, great for your hair. A style of clothing can really impact your attraction. Getting a nice haircut. You know what else is very attractive for women? Guys who have their lives figured out. That's not saying you're an 18 to 21-year-old, you know exactly what you're going to do. But if you have somewhat of a direction, somewhat of a sense of self, and you know what your strengths are, ask any female in your life. There is something attractive about the security that a man can bring with him. I don't care it's 2021 and gender roles are just, man, knowing that your partner has at least a little bit of security, that doesn't mean you have everything figured out, but you have a little bit of direction in terms of you know what your strengths are. You're an ambitious person, and they can tell that you know sort of what your direction is. Don't take my word for it. Ask any female friend in your life. What do you think about a guy who isn't assertive versus who is? Who isn't bold versus who is? Versus who's making a little bit of money and is building a place for himself. He's got an apartment, it's very small. Not nice, no designer, but it's his own. He's got a little bit of a time. He's moving in that direction. I promise you, they're going to say, look, it doesn't matter if he's driving a Lamborghini or a Bugatti, or for a lot of those young kids, right? They're 16 to 24, 25-year-olds. Man, you got a one-bedroom apartment, not even a car, you're biking. It's a signs of success. If you're a young man, I really want you to key in on those words. Signs of success are very attractive. Does this guy have what it takes to 5, 10, 15, 20 years be successful? And that doesn't mean women are gold diggers, but it just means, and if we think way back, like evolutionary psychology, where the female wants to align herself with the male who can best take care of the young, right? Produce offspring and keep them safe. A lot of it is like that. Now, I'm not saying the biological aspect is the only thing that's pushing people forward. There's a lot of other factors involved, but that's a huge one. Is this a guy that I trust? Is this a guy that can stand up for himself against me? Which means he can definitely stand up for himself against other people. Is this a guy who looks like, even if he doesn't have any money right now, he's got the capabilities necessary in order to have a sustaining life with a solid amount of resources so that we have a roof over our heads. If you check those off, just send me a thank you letter when you end up getting married. Just send me, hey Daniel, man, I was going to be single and die alone, and then I listened to your podcast, and bada bing, bada boom, my third child's on the way. So you're welcome. Because look, if you disagree, if you're a man, if you're a woman, let me know. Message me, email me on, I think Instagram's the easiest. Comment on YouTube, wherever you are. I'm always interested to hear what your take is. Do you agree with what I've said? Do you think I'm completely off the ball? Have I said something that has made you go, Daniel, you got no idea what you're talking about? So really think about the things that I've said. And again, the biggest one here is self-worth. Look in the mirror, self-worth. And as your self-worth increases, I promise you, your problems in the dating life will decrease. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Daniel. This has been Daniel Teaches. Have an absolutely incredible holiday break. You deserve it. Pat yourself on the back. Drink a hot chocolate for me, or a tea, or a coffee. I'm so happy that you're here. I will see you, or you'll hear from me again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.